At this time, we have a number of new members that are attending their first chamber luncheon. And so I'd like at this time to introduce Camille Kellison to introduce our newest members. Camille.
Good afternoon. I'm very honored to introduce some of our new members today. As I read your names, please come forward to receive your membership plaque, and please stand at the front until all names have been read and we've taken a group photo. Tammy Davenport with Ideal Jewelry. Durga Victorine with Atomic City Roller Girls. Chris Porter with Porter & Company PC. Chandra Christensen with Simplified Celebrations. Judy Coughlin with the Senior Out and About magazine. Jennifer Peterson with Women Helping Women Fund, Tri-Cities. Katie Obelisk and Jeff Wright with AMI Advertising. Corey Barber with Fellas Hair. Jenny Oldham with the Kennewick Flower Shop. Mary Lynn Merriman with MLM Communications. Shirley Ollinger with Independent Strategic Management Solutions. Karen Holt with Elite Chiropractic, and Rosa Gonzalez with the Uptown Event Center. Please join me in welcoming these new members to the chamber. Should I stay here or should I? Am I okay? We broke it.
Thank you. I appreciate you being here and hope you enjoy your day-to-day with us. At this time, I'd like to thank our ATHENA Young Professional Leadership Award sponsor, Cadillac Regional Medical Center. And on behalf of Cadillac, I'd like to, at this time, introduce Nan Dominici, Marketing Director, to present the award. Nan.
The ATHENA Young Professional Leadership Award honors emerging leaders that demonstrate excellence, creativity, and initiatives in their business or profession. They provide valuable service by contributing time and energy to improve the quality of life for others in the community. Thank you. While clearly serving as a role model for young professional women, both personally and professionally, our 2013 ATHENA Young Professional Award recipient meets these criteria. This young professional graduated from Columbia Basin College with an AA degree before obtaining her BA degree from Central Washington University in accounting. She is a member of the Washington Society of CPAs and the American Institutes of CPAs. Throughout her career, she has been more than a number cruncher. She has been a business advisor, problem solver, an advocate for change, a leader in the community, and a mentor to young talent. She gives up her time at her church and volunteered for Miss Tri-Cities. She has been actively involved with Women Helping Women Tri-Cities since 2001 and served as president in 2009. Along with 3 other women, she founded the Powerful Connections Group in 2006, and through the CBC Foundation, she established a Scholarship Award and Leadership Award in 2009. Please help me welcome to the stage and congratulate our 2013 ATHENA Young Professional Leadership Award winner from Clifton Larson Allen, LLP, Jennifer Lindsay.
Congratulations, Jennifer, and thank you again, Cadillac Regional Medical Center, for sponsoring the award. At this time, I'd like to thank our ATHENA Leadership Award sponsor, Battelle, and invite Paula Linnen, Associate Laboratory Director of Organizational Development Directorate, and also last year's winner, to present the award.
Hello, welcome to all of you. I'm just delighted this year to be able to present the ATHENA Award. The ATHENA Leadership Award is presented to a woman who is honored for professional excellence, for community service, and for actively assisting women in their attainment of professional excellence and in leadership skills. The following is a brief description and overview of the ATHENA Award recipient for this year. She directs a multi-million-dollar design-build general construction firm. Until March of 2012, it was a second-generation, woman-owned, veteran-owned SDB and participant in the SBA 8A program. In the role of president, her primary duties are to determine the organization's vision, what opportunities to pursue, and develop the strategic plans required to fulfill these visions. From 2002 to 2012, under her tenure, her team successfully developed and executed an aggressive plan to transition from a specialty subcontractor to a design-build general contractor. Since 2003, the corporation has gone from $3 million in annual sales to more than $70 million, reduced overhead, and increased profitability each and every year. She possesses a clear understanding of partnering and the benefits and differences of teaming with businesses both large and small. Her ability to understand her market, her clients, to deliver quality performance as a federal prime has been demonstrated through the successful growth of the company, and thus the company has received numerous awards, such as the Small Business Association Region 10 Contractor of the Year Award, the Tri-City Regional Chamber of Commerce Business on a Roll Award, the Mid-Columbia Business of the Year Gold and Silver Awards. She supports the local community by sponsoring many organizations such as the Domestic Violence Services of Benton and Franklin Counties, Women Helping Women, Special Olympics, the YMCA, Habitat for Humanity, and many more. She enables and encourages her employees to assist in the community and in community projects. And she herself personally served on the Tri-Cities Junior Achievement Board of Directors, PNL Mentor Protege Advisory Committee, Tri-Tech Construction Trades Advisory Committee, Tri-Cities Construction Council Board of Directors, and nationally was the first woman to serve on the National Architecture Contractors Committee, the Sheet Metal and Air Conditioning Contractors National Education Task Force. Say that 3 times fast. Among her many accolades, Deb Bowen, Executive Director with Junior Achievement, said, she embodies the traits of ATHENA: strength, courage, wisdom, and enlightenment. She is, without question, a leader among leaders. Please join me, please help me welcome to the stage and shine a very much deserved light on our 2013 ATHENA Leadership Award winner from Randolph Construction Services, President and Branch Manager, Khris Judy.
Give her a hand. Congratulations, Khris, and thank you again, Battelle, for sponsoring the award. Today's luncheon is sponsored by Washington Closure Hanford. Representing Washington Closure Hanford is their president and CEO, Carol Johnson. Please help me welcome Carol Johnson she's going to tell us a little bit about Washington Closure Hanford and introduce our keynote speaker. Carol.
Good afternoon, everybody. I want to start by first thanking Lori and the Chamber for year 2 of the Women in Business Conference. It was a pleasure for me to speak last year, and I'm just so pleased to see it continue and to grow. I understand you have more participants this year and a much bigger lunch attendance, and just keep up the good work. Thanks, Lori. I want to take a moment and talk about Washington Closure Hanford, and I think the banner here over to my right says it all. Our mission, and it's a very honorable mission for this community, is to protect the Columbia River. Our job is to clean up 220 square miles of contaminated land and demolish several hundred buildings of legacy operations from the Hanford site. And with me today, I have 2 tables filled with great women from Washington Closure Hanford, and also a couple of the token gentlemen that have joined me, one of which is Brad Smith, who is also on the Chamber Board. Just a couple of words about Washington Closure. We're a consortium, URS-led consortium with great partners of CH2M Hill and Battelle. We have a $2.3 billion contract to do this work along the beautiful Columbia River. And we have about 960 employees and several hundred subcontractors working for us, many of which are local owned and small businesses. And we're quite proud of the tremendous accomplishment that we're making. And our scope of work is about 89% complete. Probably the best way for me to explain what we do is not with a PowerPoint presentation, but rather with a little video clip that shows the great employees at Washington Closure doing their work safely every single day. And I have about a 3-minute video that I'd like to share with you. So there you go, folks. That's Washington. Close your hamper. So now I'd like to turn to introducing our keynote speaker for the luncheon. Sharelle Klaus is the founder of Dry Soda and serves as the Chief Executive Officer. As a food and wine enthusiast, Sharelle created Dry Soda because she had a craving for an inspired, non-alcoholic beverage that would pair well with food. Without any background or previous experience in the beverage industry, Sharelle set out to revolutionize the way Americans drink soda. In early 2005, she began developing Dry Soda in her home kitchen, where she spent hours educating herself on beverage creation and researching flavor profiles. And in August of that year, with the help of a few of the Pacific Northwest leading chefs and award-winning designers, Sharelle launched Dry Soda. And today, Sharelle is taking the industry giants head on. Her mission: change the way America drinks soda by challenging the high fructose status quo and creating flavors that are untraditional and delicious. And one bottle of Dry Soda at a time, her pot philosophy is catching on. Sharelle's tenacious approach to financing and innovative ways of connecting with consumers has helped Dry become one of the fastest growing national sodas at top retailers in the Northwest, and is now available in grocers, restaurants, and cafes in all 50 states, from Whole Foods and Ralph's to Crush Restaurant in Seattle to the world-famous French Laundry. Sharelle brought more than a decade of entrepreneurial, financial, and technology experience to Dry Soda. She began her career as a consultant for Infrastructure Management Group with a focus on airport analysis. She then worked as a consultant for Price Waterhouse, developing their airport practice. And in 1999, she founded Planet Squid Incorporated, an investment-backed online community for tweens, 10 to 14-year-old children, which allowed consumers the most control while providing a secure environment. In addition to these roles, she served as president of the Forum for Women Entrepreneurs, where she drove strategic development of programs, events, and fundraising for the organization's more than 250 Seattle area members. And since starting Dry Soda, Sharelle has been recognized for her innovative leadership with awards such as Puget Sound Business Journal's 40 Under 40, Seattle Business's Top 25 Innovators, and most recently was recognized as one of the Puget Sound's Women of Influence. Klaus graduated from Seattle Pacific University with an undergrad degree in political science. She's a supporter of entrepreneurship and is often a guest speaker at the University of Washington Business School, a judge for their business plan competitions, and is on the executive committee of the Seattle Pacific University Business School. She currently splits her time between LA and Seattle, and in her rare spare time, she likes eating, running, body surfing, reading, and cooking with her kids, and I don't know how she finds time to do all of those things. But so it's with pleasure that I now introduce to you Sharelle Klaus.
But I'm not cleaning up the Columbia River, so clearly that's far more important. Just turn this up real quick. Well, thank you very much for having me. This is a real honor to be here. As you mentioned, I was with the Forum for Women Entrepreneurs, so I'm always energized by being in a room full of women, although my table was full of men. But I love to see women get together and really work together to try to inspire and just learn from one another. And that's kind of what my speech is a little bit about today. So bear with me. So in 2005, I decided to start not just a soda company. Oh, let me make sure oh yeah, there we are. Okay. I was supposed to make sure everything is going here. I decided not to start just a soda company, but I really wanted to start what I consider a revolution, in my mind anyway. It's my own mind here. I wanted to take on Coke and Pepsi. and truly create a new category of carbonated beverages. So those new category beverages are on your table, so everybody gets to try them, although I noticed they're not chilled, so bear with me on that one. The idea was to create something that was much less sweet. So you'll notice that there only has about 1/4 to 1/3 of the sugar of a regular soda. Some more interesting and unique flavors in there, such as lavender, blood orange, rhubarb, interesting flavors. The problem is that I wanted to take on Coke and Pepsi after I had left the corporate world and was home with 4 small children. So I've always had small ambitions. But to be honest, I never doubted that my ability to do this. Not because I'm brilliant, but because I believe in the brilliance of others. And I knew that if you can bring together an amazing group of people, that you can get a lot done. Thus the title of my talk, Limitless Potential in a Culture of Generosity. It's not just a clever title, hopefully. So if you would, what I'd like to specifically talk about today is really how I came about this belief in generosity and what it can do. And if you'll bear with me, I'd like to take a little bit of a stroll down my own personal memory lane and take a look at 3 different moments from my younger years that had a profound impact on my views of business. And then 3 different moments from Dry Soda's history that really led us and the company to where it is today. And where we are today is growing significantly. 2011, we saw 100% growth. Last year, we saw 60% growth. And this year, 2013, we just finished up our big planning session with our team, and we have a lot of really new, exciting plans. So everybody keep their eyes open for all of that, and we should be back to triple-digit growth in 2013. And I truly believe that the core of our success is based on this culture of generosity, and that we really do have limitless potential, meaning we can take on Coke and Pepsi. So let's get going down memory lane. We're going back to 1976. And yes, that's me in the pigtails. So 1976 was the year of the election, was the Carter-Ford election. It was my first election. And I was absolutely fascinated with President Carter because all he was talking about was how he was going to be the nice, good president. And I came of age really during the Watergate scandal and Schoolhouse Rock. If anybody remembers Schoolhouse Rock and how a bill becomes a law. And all I remember is my mom doing a lot of crying during the Watergate scandal and talking about the selfishness of Nixon and how he wasn't thinking about our country when he did what he did. And I didn't really understand, obviously, the complexity of Watergate, but all I knew is what he had done was selfish and that there seemed to be a lot of self-interest in this bad place called Washington, D.C. And Mr. Schoolhouse Rock over here, how a bill becomes a law, all I could see was that it was going to take a lot of cooperation for a bill to become a law. And when I was 6, and every time that cartoon came on Saturday morning, it really stressed me out. Because I thought, it's going to take so much cooperation, and I think we all know it's pretty stressful. It still does. So when President Carter was running as this nice president, I remember saying to my parents as they took that picture, there's no way he's going to make it as a president. He's going to be too nice. Well, I like to think I was a political savant at the age of 7. Because politics aside, I think most people agree that President Carter wasn't the most successful president. But he was, in many people's estimations, one of the most impactful post-presidents. Because once President Carter was able to get out of Washington, D.C., which is, I think we would all agree, a hotbed of self-interest and not a culture of generosity, he was able to take his brand of niceness and generosity and truly make an impact with the Carter Center for Humanity and Habitat, or the Carter Center for Peace and Habitat for Humanity. And I will admit, I have a huge crush on Jimmy Carter, and he's always been my hero, and really been an inspiration for me. So to me, that had a huge impact of seeing what self-interest can do and what generosity can do. Now we're moving on to 1980. My first lesson in entrepreneurship. Someone asked me a quick question today, which was, how did I get from point A to point B so quickly? Well, I do have entrepreneurship in my blood. So my first experience was selling Christmas wreaths. I'll try to make this story short, but when I was 10 years old, my father came to me and said that he wanted to sell Christmas wreaths and he would like to hire me as his door-to-door salesperson. And I said, okay, but I'm not gonna be your employee, I'll be your partner. So step one was negotiating with my father. I'm like, let's get down to brass tacks, Dad, what are your cost of goods? And he let me know what his cost of goods were, and this is where I learned about leverage. Because I know there's no way that guy was going to go door to door selling Christmas wreaths. He needed me. So I leveraged, and I used my leverage and negotiated with him, and I cut a deal where I made more money selling Christmas wreaths than he did. So step one. That's going to come back to haunt me in the story, so just hold on. Step two was marketing. My dad's idea was for me to go door to door after school around the neighborhood. But I know my customers, they were the moms of my friends, and they all worked. And I said, that's not going to work, Dad. We need to go to where they work, go to the business parks and the office buildings. He didn't agree, and he had the car. So we had to negotiate that. That took one day of me proving him wrong, and then we moved on to the office parks. But I also learned about marketing. And I knew I needed to look cute when I went in there, and I had to get rid of the Farrah Fawcett do and put my hair back into those pigtails that you saw earlier. So I did that. And I went in and I sold my wreaths to these working moms. And I learned about sales, and I learned about making scarcity, making them think that this was the only day I was going to be at this office building. I made a lot of money that year, and it was hugely impactful. And by day 3 of making all that money, I was plotting out next year's holiday season, picking out which kids in the neighborhood I was going to get to be my salespeople for next year. I was going to scale this baby big. I was going to make a lot, but here's my problem. I negotiated so hard with my dad, I did not make it a win-win situation. So when the holiday season rolled around next year, it wasn't worth it to my father to do it again. He didn't make enough money. So I was out of the Christmas wreath business. So moving on to 1984. My first job with a team. I got my first real job when I was 14 years old as a dishwasher in a restaurant. Here I learned what I think may be even more important than what I learned when I was 10, which was being a part of a team. I had a chef who worked so hard to make every single person on the team, from the front of the house down to me, who was obviously the lowest on the totem pole, dishwasher, feel absolutely important. And what we were doing was absolutely critical. We were creating an experience for every customer that walked through the door, no matter if they were cranky, happy, fat, skinny, tall, poor, whatever. We were making an experience for them, and every person's job was important. And I loved being a part of that team. I was happy every day I went in there. I loved my job. I was making a lot less money than when I sold Christmas wreaths earlier, but I loved being a part of that team. Everyone was happy, everyone felt respected. That made a huge impact. So thank you for letting me stroll down memory lane and tell you about my early days. But now I want to tell you a little bit about dry soda and how this culture of generosity has impacted dry. As I mentioned, I started dry soda with the eyes toward changing the way America's drinking soda. I really want to revolutionize the way we think about soda. We don't have to drink high fructose corn syrup. We don't have to drink the same old flavors. The problem is I had zero experience in consumer branded products. So if anyone was listening to that bio, you see I was in consulting and public works projects at airports, not consumer branded products. So if I was going to start this company, I was going to need a lot of help. And I also didn't have any money. But I started sharing my dream with a lot of people in Seattle. And I started asking for help and advice. So first place I went was the Forum for Women Entrepreneurs. Women were very helpful to each other when we want to be. I needed help. I needed to get financing. So the women from FWEs are some of the ones that introduced me to many of the people who eventually became the investors in my company. Second, I didn't know how to make a soda. So my husband at the time, he's my ex-husband now, but the husband at the time introduced me to the people he worked with at Da Vinci Syrups. So everybody from the food scientist who taught me how to make the sodas, to the VP of sales who told me about distribution and taught me about how to even go about selling a soda, to the marketing department, all took lunches with me and taught me what I needed to know. Chefs in Seattle all took time to teach me about pairing. The sodas actually pair with food. They taught me about how you pair food with sodas. Well, they didn't know about that concept, but the different aspects of that. I was able to meet with the CEO of Red Bull, who was absolutely fascinated with what I did and what I was doing, and he came along and became one of our board members, the same with the former CEO and founder of Red Hook. So there's a lot of people who believed in what I was doing and wanted to help, and they were incredibly generous. But this is also the point of the story at the beginning here, back in early 2005, when that win-win concept came back, and believe me, I remember it well. I needed, one of the most important things about dry soda is the branding, and somebody picked up a bottle at my table and talked about, you know, the beautiful brand. And the key component of dry when I started it was that I had no money. So those of you that are entrepreneurs out there that knows how hard it is to start a company without money, I needed a good design firm, but it cost a lot of money to do that. So I was connected with a group called Turnstile. There were 3 guys that had just come out of a major design firm in Seattle called Leonard Fitch, and they were starting their own design firm. We met, we hit it off. I didn't have any money, they needed brand exposure, so we decided to work together. Fast forward 7 years later, and we have had this incredible relationship. They've won over 13 design awards, both nationally and internationally, for their design work for dry soda. They will tell you any time of the day that dry has helped build up their company. They actually have more employees now than dry soda does. Their bottles, the dry soda bottles have even been in the Denver Museum of Modern Art. And I can tell you that dry soda would not be where we are today without Turnstile. And they're continuing to do work for us. And believe me, they've gotten a lot of money from me now since then. But back when I didn't have any, they were there. So again, back to that concept of generosity and win-win. So moving on. Now we are into July of 2005. I've got my brand, I've got my design, got my recipes, thanks to the help of some food scientists, my sodas in their bottles. I've launched dry, and things are going really well. The first 30 restaurants I went to brought it in. QFC wants it. I've got a major distributor. I've got great press. I'm on top of the world. But somehow, one of my 4 children walks in the door, and my head's on the desk, and I'm crying. She said, "What's the problem there, Miss CEO?" And I said, "I just can't do this by myself. This is so hard. There's so much going on." And this is a true story. I literally pull my head up, and there's an email from a woman who's a VP of marketing that just moved up from LA. She's read a story about dry soda. She loves what I'm doing. So I'm like, I instantly email her back, "Let's meet." I hire Jeanette, and when I say hire Jeanette, I tell Jeanette I'm looking to get financing, but I can't pay her. So Jeanette puts her faith in me. More importantly, she starts putting the expenses on her credit card. And we keep working, and we work for Dry. We launch Dry in LA and get things going. And I go after and start looking for money. We have an investor that comes to us and wants to put $750,000 into dry soda. Things are going great. I hired 2 people who quit their job, they're ready to go. And on the day that we're gonna sign our papers for our loan, the investor changes the terms of the agreement. I started crying again. Yes, I'm a female CEO, and yes, I cry. So I have to go back to 2 employees that I hired who've quit their jobs and tell them they're not going to get a paycheck. And I say, "What do you want to do?" They said, "We believe in you. We believe in this company. We'll work. We'll work for free." So they worked for free. And this is the basis of dry soda. People believing and working hard. And that is how we got started. The good news is, miraculously, within 3 weeks, I was able to raise $1.5 million from investors, and we took off from there. But our team started just like that, and we built that team from there, with everybody doing whatever it took to get the job done, because we'd all started just like that, without anything, and moving on. But if there was some ominous music playing, we could start that right now, because next comes my amateur move. Dun, dun, dun. I wanted to put the picture of this guy's face up there, but they told me that wouldn't be cool. Okay, so the amateur move comes in year 2. So things are going somewhat swimmingly. We're doing well, but we are missing one key component. We don't have anybody on our team with beverage experience, which in some ways has served us well because we don't know what we don't know, and we're just kind of moving along, but at some point that becomes a bit of a hindrance. So I am laser focused on finding a beverage salesperson. And here he comes in his suit and tie, and that is all I can see is Mr. Beverage Sales Guy that has been completely successful in his last position. What I didn't look at was who he was as a person, how he was rewarded in his last job, how he was motivated. What kind of leader would he be? All I could see was beverage experience and that this was our missing puzzle. Well, he wasn't generous or trustworthy. He was motivated only by his own personal success. And he came in, I hired him, like I said, it was my amateur move, and he hired a team very quickly. And obviously what happens is he hires a sales team, and almost overnight things change. And the obvious things change is that, you know, morale goes down in the sales team, our sales team changes, but there's a lot of other changes that happen, which is why that's a risk board up there, by the way. That's what that picture is that all of the different departments start just going off onto their own. The marketing is going off, operations, finance, nobody's talking to each other. They're not just not talking to him, they're not talking to each other. And I was completely flummoxed, and I know this sounds somewhat dramatic, but I am telling you, I swear it happened almost overnight. Everybody cared about their own budgets. There was no more common goal. It was everybody's own goal. And I was floored. And the part of the problem was I couldn't really talk to anybody about it because our sales were continuing to skyrocket because of the momentum that we had had from the previous year. It takes a while for that momentum to drop off. Plus we were hiring, so our sales were continuing to go up. So the board didn't see any problem, but I knew there was a problem. I didn't like coming to work. I did not like what was happening. So I was going out and talking to other CEOs, and what I was hearing was, yeah, that's par for the course. Sales and marketing never get along. And I'm like, no, that can't be true. I don't like this company. This isn't what I want to be doing. So I reversed my amateur move and fired the VP of sales. But if anyone's ever been through this, you know that the damage had been done, and it takes a really long time to undo the damage. So for me, the recession was a good thing, I guess. Because in 2008, at the end of 2008, we lost all of our financing, which meant I cut drastically, and we got to rebuild and get a clean slate. So basically, 2009, we hunkered down like most people do, but in 2010, we got to begin to rebuild our team. And I knew what I wanted. I wanted to get back to that generous team, that culture that we had, because I'm telling you right now, what we're trying to do, going up against Coke and Pepsi without money like Coke and Pepsi has, don't tell my team I said this, but it is this side of impossible. It is really challenging what we're trying to do, and I know that we have to be a team together. It is absolutely critical that everybody is on that same goal and that everyone is working together. So we started to build, and with just hiring even just a few people, they started to build that culture. And interestingly, it was the really young people that we brought in that started to build that culture, and it started to build on each other. And it's those experiences. We started bringing in people from different backgrounds, experiences, whereas kind of in our early days, we had a lot of people with the same kind of experiences, a lot of marketing type people. This time we brought in a lot of different kinds of people, different experiences, different ages, but they all had that same core of generosity and lack of ego, if you will. And it was contagious. And what was fascinating was to see that each of those experiences, every time someone does something generous, it builds on each other. It's a little bit like a snowball. So specifically what that really means at Dry Soda, what does that mean for us? What does that look like? Is that titles and egos don't get in the way. And yes, there's a joke because I have a huge ego because my signature's on the bottle, but that wasn't my idea, that was the designer's. But we really don't. It's a very democratic system that we have at Dry Soda. There's a common goal, and we all ask how we can help one another. It is a very flat organization, and I'm a big fan of flat organizations. I take the youngest employee we have, their opinion and their work is just as important to me as my senior VP of sales. I think there's nobody's job is beneath anyone. So if we have to go reset grocery stores in the middle of the night, I am there alongside everyone else resetting grocery stores. I mean, I don't always want to have to do that, but I do it. Working a demo, unloading sodas. We all do it. Everyone's opinion is truly respected, and everyone has a seat at the table. I can't stress that one enough. Everyone in the company has a seat at the table, and everyone's opinion is heard. And that gets translated to our customers. All of our customers feel heard, and that's key. And I think that one thing that's really why I think this is really important in this day and age is because the millennials are coming, and they're important. They're important to every organization, and they need to be heard, and they're used to being heard. So I highly recommend listening. And I think that other piece that I've been so fascinated with is that they're doing all this without being told to do this. So there is no directive that says to my sales team, you need to be talking to each other and sharing ideas. They're doing it themselves. And we just, like I said, we just had our all-team week last week, and I was so fascinated to have them share with me what they're doing, because obviously I don't know what a team of 17 people are always doing. And they're constantly talking to each other and sharing best practices and helping each other out and coming to each other's markets when necessary. And marketing and sales are working hand in hand. As a matter of fact, they're even sharing an employee right now just so they can make sure that they're giving each other what they need. On our Monday morning calls, the question is always, what do you need? Every department is asking the other one, what do you need? Do you need a better sales report? Do you need a better piece of POS? And the key is it's not coming from me. It's coming from the team themselves. It's a common goal. So to me, I think that's what it means to be generous, is to have a team that cares for one another, that feels respected, and can truly go out and have success and do intelligent work. And so for me, success means being a mom of 4 kids and still being able to take on Coke and Pepsi. Thank you. Thank you. I would love to take questions. This is my favorite part. Does anybody have any questions? Okay. We have 7 flavors. And but you know what? Nobody's going to ask this question. You get it at Fred Meyer's and Yolk's Fresh Market. And we have a smartphone app that you can download, and it'll tell you where you can get the closest dry soda is to where you are right this very second. And it tells you how to mix it into a cocktail. So I know everybody wants to know how to do that. That was going to be the next question. Yes. Yeah, so Jones Soda is actually one of my favorite brands, and we actually have their former CEO on our board now. Jones has done, what they've done is they were very successful early on with a specific demographic, and then spread themselves really, really thin by going after lots of other demographics and doing lots of line extensions. Dry's a little bit different than that. We're definitely much more focused. So they overextended themselves quite a bit from a financial standpoint, which is easy to do. And then they went directly up against Coke and Pepsi and went into cans and went into a cola at Walmart. You never want to do that. You got to be a little sneakier with Coke and Pepsi, in my opinion. And I don't have an ego, remember, so that's just my opinion. Yeah. What was the secret to getting the investment? Yeah. Boy, you're not the first person to ask me that question. Well, so the $750,000, they actually came to me, which is funny. That doesn't happen very often, I will tell you that. And then when they changed the terms, and I walked away. So the way I got the $1.5 million was, the key truly is you need one big investor to say yes. And then I will tell you, because I did like about 20 meetings where everyone said no, and then the one big investor said yes, and then everybody was like, wait, I want to get in. And that's how we got oversubscribed. And I would have raised even more than that, but we closed it off at 1.5. And then the key too also is, when you find that one big investor, you usually want to try to find someone who's in that arena or the same sort of industry that you're in. So my one big investor, he owns wineries, so he was in sort of that same thing, a beverage business or consumer branded products. So that's always important, to look for an angel investor that is in the somewhat same industry you are, because then they can also be helpful in other areas. Yes. Well, that's actually a good question, because I actually have a whole new board now in the last year. My board early on was a board of what you would call like big names in the industry. And I mean, it's no secret that, you know, they were helpful, but I didn't go to them as much as that board I have now. The board I have now, I talk to one of them probably once a week. I give them updates once a week now. I didn't used to do that. And they have become so critical to the success, and they're different. They each have different skill sets, but they keep definitely, they're a sounding board and a real reality check for me, and that's really important. When you feel like you need to step back and have a conversation about different things, they can do that. Plus, they're actually giving me a lot of very specific help, which is what I needed. And I didn't have that quite as much with my first board, where I needed very specific help. And this board can do both of those roles now. They can give me that kind of reality check, sort of an overall business perspective, and then actual very specific help as well. So, and then we have monthly board calls and quarterly in-person board meetings, and then I talk to at least one of them once a week or every other week. Yeah. My pairing the food with soda? Well, yeah, so the idea really with that was that I have 4 kids, so I kept getting pregnant clearly, and I couldn't drink alcohol, meaning wine. So I wanted to pair the food, I wanted to be able to pair the soda with food. That was the idea when I first came up with the soda. So there's the different flavors, and there's different acidity levels with each one as well. And so you can actually go online to our website, and you can also use the mobile app, and it talks about how to pair them with different kinds of food. So they really do pair with different kinds of food, and we worked with chefs to create those pairings. So much like a wine, which is why they're at French Laundry, and they actually do pair them with the food. So, and that's when I first started it. We would go to the sommeliers, and that was the whole point. And sometimes the sommeliers would be a little bit snobby and say, I'm not going to work with a soda. And I said, well, the whole point of a sommelier is to be able to help someone complement their meal with a beverage. And then the sommeliers would get it immediately and say, yeah, you're right, it doesn't have to just be wine. Like chocolate chip cookies and milk, you know. Yes. Yes. It's because we're in Canada, too. We're 50 states and Canada. So we have to be in French for Canada. Yeah. Did you ask me what percentage of my company did early investors get? Yeah, I'm not going to tell you that. Let me put it this way. I have raised $17 million in angel financing, which is a lot of money for angel financing, and I've given away more of my company than I wish that I had. But, I mean, what are you going to do? Don't be jerks. No, I'm just kidding. I was going to say something else, but we're in the Tri-Cities. I can only say that in Seattle. You know what? It's not really something you can put in a job description, to be really honest. It's an interview process, and it's people who are generous attract people who are generous, and I think that that's the great part now, is that there's a team of us that all interview, and we can all sense it, and I think we all have our own way of questioning people. And I don't do the hiring decisions. It's not just me. And I think that's the key. And I think that a lot of times as CEO founders, it's all about us and our decisions because it's our baby, and that's not a good idea. It's really important to start spreading out the decision making. I'm just, all of a sudden in my head, I'm like thinking about my team watching this video of me speaking, and they're all laughing, going, yeah, right. Seriously though, no, seriously. We really are spreading out the decision making, and that's the key, is if you, I'm not joking, it's like a snowball. If you bring in generous people, it starts to snowball that way. And I don't think we'll ever have that situation ever happen again, where we get desperate and hire the wrong person, because we've been down that road and we have too much of it now. It's spread throughout this company, And when I brought our team was all in last week, like I was saying, and I asked people, what's your favorite part about dry soda, or what's the best thing? And every single person talked about this aspect of it. Now granted, when it came time for the team building exercise, I wanted to play laser tag. FYI, that's not a team building exercise, as I learned. It's a little bit more, so I want to shoot people, whatever. Any more questions before we wrap it up? Is that it? Well, thank you guys very much. It was really fun talking to you, and hopefully you all will be drinking dry in straight and in cocktails now. Thank you.
Sharelle, thank you very much. I appreciate your inspiring story, and I like the idea that you weren't afraid of the big guys. And as entrepreneurs, we need to be that way. Don't be afraid of the big guys. And the opportunity, you can take an idea and make it reality. And we can do that in business today. So thank you. Let's give her another hand. Couple house cleaning things, but I need to do. But before we adjourn, I'd like to take the opportunity to thank Washington River Protection Solutions for the premier sponsorship of the Women in Business Conference. Thank you very much. Washington Closure Hanford for sponsoring today's luncheon. Cadillac Regional Medical Center for sponsoring the ATHENA Young Professionals Award. Battelle for sponsoring the ATHENA Leadership Award. Charter Communications for taping today's luncheon for rebroadcast. Thank you very much. The Trek for their hospitality today and the food. And especially Sharelle for taking her time out of her busy schedule. As you can see, it's pretty busy and full of a lot of things. So thank you very much. And hopefully some of you have already enjoyed the soda on your table. If you haven't, please do so. Also to congratulate Khris Judy and Jennifer Lindsay for the ATHENA Award winners. Let's give them another hand. Thank you. Two quick things before we adjourn. We have an exciting afternoon planned as we continue the Women in Business Conference. There's some more conferences this afternoon till about approximately 3 o'clock today. All conference and lunch attendees are invited to please join us on the other side of the curtains to visit their exhibitors until about 1:45. Then they get to start going in their presentations. You'll find business that can assist you with excellent products and services. Thank you so much for attending the luncheon and conference. Don't forget to register for the Chamber's Business Development University, which takes place next Thursday. The topic is Business in the Cloud, Understanding Technology and Service. We have a couple of our local professionals that will be giving this class. The cost is only $25 for Chamber members. And again, thank you so much for attending the luncheon and conference. And remember, it's good business to do business with regional chamber members. Thank you.